Cathy McLeod, and I'm from the riding Kamloops-Thompson-Cariboo and the Conservative candidate for the 2019 election. So, of course, I've been your Member of Parliament for the last 10 plus years, but before that I was a nurse and focused on the healthcare system and healthcare system reform. So I always like to say my very practical nursing experience has served me well as a parliamentarian because I'm really focused on getting things done. I do have a Bachelor of Science degree and a Master's degree from the University of London, and of course 3 adult children who have managed to get through university and of course have now paid off their student debt. So we're all good in this family. You know, I think, first of all, I've always thought that there's a number of components to being the Member of Parliament, but first and foremost is to represent the riding and the constituents that are here. So part of my top priorities are really having the communities identify what their top priorities are. So for example, right now Clearwater and Clinton and 100 Mile House are struggling with the forestry crisis. So working with them to see how the federal government is going to best support them. So, you know, certainly reflecting on what the different communities' priorities are important, supporting constituents to the best I can. Certainly the Trans Mountain Pipeline I am supportive of. I think I want to see that oil diminished in terms of transfer by rail. I want to see it in the pipeline. So I think, you know, certainly I know it's controversial, but I'm on the side of let's get this pipeline built. Let's get the oil out of the trains on our very fragile stream. So certainly that would be one priority. And then the other thing is the party's priorities. And the party's priorities are recognizing that affordability is a real issue, whether you're a student, whether you're a senior, and so we'll be certainly looking at how we can make things more affordable for you. So I think it's, first of all, really unfortunate that we're doing this interview so early because, of course, the campaigns are rolling out, and I understand that there's going to be some really positive messaging and some positive announcements for students very, very soon in terms of the Conservative campaign. But some of the things that we have done to date, which there was something called an education tax credit, there was something called for textbooks, some support for transit, public transit. Many students take the buses, and so having those kinds of supports, we're going to return those very important supports. But I think, you know, I'm excited to roll out our plan for students, and I really encourage, we're early in the campaign, and to watch what's going to come out from the Conservative Party in terms of how we do plan to support students. So first of all, there has been a number of things that the current government has done that has made housing more unaffordable for students. They have something called the changes to the mortgage stress test, you know, increasing bureaucracy. So really what we need to do is reverse some of those changes or relook at how we do the mortgage stress test, because of course if people aren't able to buy, that's a significant problem. We need to work with the provinces, we need to work with the municipalities as a federal government to have a plan, and it includes some of the bureaucratic and the barriers. So you might not be aware, but right now the federal government is taking billions of dollars from CMHC and they're putting it into their general coffers. So we really need to, as I say, this is a partnership. It's only going to be solved through a partnership. And I think housing is another one. And again, I wish we were doing this interview in a couple of weeks because I can't sort of jump ahead of my leader in terms of what some of the important things that we are going to be doing for making housing more affordable. But certainly, you know, I recognize it's an issue. And as I go door to door, that's one of the things that I'm hearing. You know, I think what's happening right now is we have perhaps some job growth in Ontario and Quebec, but in British Columbia, we actually are not seeing job growth. We are seeing, because what we have is an environment where, you know, opportunities are getting thwarted. We have a trades program here. Having the Trans Mountain Pipeline built is going to be something that many that are going to graduate from this trades program will be, you know, looking forward to, is opportunities to work on this pipeline. So making sure that, you know, small small businesses have had many changes over the last few years that decreases the willingness of people to expand their business or start a business. So they're the backbones, and they're the opportunities for students to get into working with small business, starting up their own small business. We have wonderful things that are happening in terms of partnerships, for example, with the Kamloops Innovation Center. But really, I think the government too often gets in the way of supporting the success of small business because they bury them in, increased Canadian pension plan costs, increased, EI premiums, increased bureaucracy, increased demands from Revenue Canada. So our goal has always been, yes, we need to have a regulatory environment that works, but let's help our businesses thrive and grow throughout Canada. I think when we released our environmental plan, I was really excited in terms of what the Conservative environmental platform was. And it was one that was going to be focused on technology, not taxes. So you're talking about, affordability issues. The carbon tax is a real problem for, increasing the costs and making things more difficult for students. I think the answer truly is going to be in technology that's in its early stages right now and technology that's still to be invented. So we're going to put a real focus there. Wonderful things happening with carbon capture and storage. There's wonderful things, happening throughout the country, and we really need to leverage them. So, I certainly, in terms of carbon emissions, I firmly believe that it's going to be technology that gets us to where we need to go. Obviously, individuals need to change their patterns, and communities need to change their patterns. But also, I think it's important. Environment is more than just about carbon emissions. So I think we need to make sure that there's not sewage going into our waterways. That's a real problem in Canada right now. We need to make sure that we have clean drinking water for First Nations communities. We need to, make sure plastic isn't getting into our oceans, and that sometimes is a more global approach. The other thing that we're looking at in terms of environment is that some things do need a global approach, and Canada has an enormous opportunity to actually, export some of the great things that we're doing to some of the countries. I mean, we know the biggest emitters are China, India, US, and so how can Canada use our technology and actually create opportunities? So even when I was a university student, I was an early riser. I could not do those all-nighters, so gotta go with early riser. Sushi or Italian, I think I'm going to have to go with sushi. I mean, when you live on a coast where the fish products are so readily available, it's delicious. And it's going to be Beatles, not the Rolling Stones for me. I have to say both travel and staycations are best, depending on where you're at in your life. The travel is enormous opportunities. Staycations are relaxing. And coffee, 2 cups every morning. And pancakes or waffles are rare, but if I was going to choose one, it'd be pancake. This is the hardest of the speed round because, of course, I love to ski and I love to swim, so beach. Dogs or cats? Dogs, I think, are going to be the pick there. And of course, a winery, although breweries are coming along, wineries are still my top pick. And dine in because, life is busy, but it's always nice to have a relaxing dinner at home. And the final, a cabin in the mountains. Oh, not the final. Ankle socks is the final.